Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
This music is way too upbeat for the vibe today. Joe, cut the music. Cut it.
Is it though? Like, we need something.
Do we?
We need something.
James Ham is here. Jesse Toppy is here. Joe Brazil behind the glass. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. Hanging out with you till noon. James Ham is down at Golden One Center covering the player exit interviews for the season. But James, before we had to play some commercials, you mentioned that last night got weird in the locker room, and I would like for you to please explain that.
Yeah, it got super weird. So the media, we got done with Zach LaVine at the podium, followed by DeMar DeRozan, followed by Doug Christie. I thought the DeMar DeRozan and Doug Christie interviews were both very emotional. Very like I could really, there's a lot of things that, I don't love about watching DeMar DeRozan play basketball, but I do respect him. And I think he's an NBA legend and a great player and a Hall of Famer. And when he kind of broke it down, how, that was year 16 and he knows he doesn't have very many left, and just how disappointed he was that he wasn't going to be in the playoffs. It kind of hit home because you do know that these guys, they have a finite amount of time that they get to play basketball, and his time is running out. So we go to the locker room after those interviews, and Zach LaVine was in the locker room. Domantas Sabonis came in. There's a handful of us in the middle of the room waiting for more players. We had interviewed Keon Ellis, and we were just kind of hanging out, waiting for pretty much Domantas Sabonis to come over and talk to us.
Oh, you're still waiting on Domantas Sabonis to show up. Interesting. Go ahead.
Well, he was there, but we were waiting to talk to him. And Jonas Valanciunas is walking in the room, and it's like, here comes Jonas. And out of nowhere, our friend of the program, Jake Gaden from CBS 13, just out of nowhere.
Later on, by the way.
Nice.
He just goes, "Oh my gosh, they fired Monte McNair," like really loudly in the locker room. And I look at him like,
I can't believe it.
Like,
do you guys know Monte McNair?
He's gone.
Like, wait,
that's wild.
Like, so I look at my phone and Jake just keeps going. He's looking at the players. They just fired Monte. Like, I'm like, so I look at my phone, and of course, the Amick tweet goes up. I walked out of the locker room really quick because, again, Jonas is like, wait, what? And I walked out of the locker room really quick because I knew where I might be able to confirm that instantly. And sure enough, I was able to instantly, like within, I don't know, 30 seconds, be able to walk up and say, "Hey, can you confirm that, yes, it was a mutual parting of ways?" Tweet goes out. I go back in the locker room. We're standing there. We're still waiting for Jonas and Domas to get dressed. And the Kings security / NBA security walk in and like, "Hey guys, we need to throw in whatever you got, and you need to get to a meeting right now upstairs." And that was it. They take Domas, they take Jonas, they take him right out of the room. Zach LaVine follows, and boom, the players are gone. And media relations like, "Hey, sorry guys, that's it for the night." Clearly things just happened, and so. Very odd. I've been around for plenty of firings. I mean, this is, let's see, the Petrie. Jeff Petrie, after he was let go unceremoniously by Pete D'Alessandro in just a vicious way, right before the 2013 NBA draft. I actually had gone right down the street from our studio to Paul Martin's to have a drink because it was a tough day. It was an emotional day. There was a lot of bad things happening. And I sat down to have a drink, and sure enough, Wayne Cooper and Jeff Petrie walk into Paul Martin's, and I end up buying him each a glass of wine. R.I.P. Wayne Cooper, absolutely spectacular human being. But he did buy the expensive wine that day. And so I think I was out $36 for that glass of wine. But like those are things like,
"Hey, he's paying for his own drink." Actually, yeah, he's got.
Yeah, I was fine buying him a drink and Jeff a drink, and I cheers to both of them, and said thank you for a great run, and thanks for always answering questions and stuff. But this one here, I saw Monte before the game last night. Said, "Hey, what's going on, man? I haven't seen you around here for a while." And he gave me a 5, pulled me in for a hug. Said, "Big night tonight." And I should have known right then that something was off. But here we are. 12 hours later, and everything in Sacramento is different, including the hiring of Scott Perry.
Unreal.
You think Monte knew what it was going into that game? Or
yeah.
you think the Kings kind of knew what it was, and Monte was not oblivious, but just wasn't sure it was going to happen so fast? Because obviously the Kings had a plan.
Well, yeah, I mean, clearly Scott Perry is like he was an East Coast guy. At least that's the last time, I talked to him, he was East Coast. So I don't think that they were able to figure something out overnight here. They already had something lined up here. This was over and done with before the game, which is to me very surprising that it was over and done with in like a turnkey situation. But I'll say this for people who don't know Scott Perry. He came here in the summer of 2017 to help Vlade Divac out. And this is actually one of the most pivotal moments in Sacramento Kings history, at least recent history. And if things would have worked out differently, I don't think we would have had to go through all of what we've gone through at this point. Scott Perry walked in the building and instantly calmed everything down. He was spectacular. And leading up to the 2017 draft, he clearly knew exactly what he was here to do. He added structure to the front office that at that point, Vlade was still learning and trying to figure out how to do this whole thing. And he instantly brought credibility. He's the guy that everyone in the league knows, everyone in the league likes and respects. Mm-hmm. And so when he calls, you have no problems picking up Scott Perry's phone call. And that's something that instantly was so stark compared to what I was used to over the last couple of years in Sacramento, even maybe the last 5 years in Sacramento. And so he brought this instant validity to the situation. And so to see him 3 months later, he was offered the New York Knicks general manager job, and he had to take it. Like it was his dream job at the time. And that's why he left. And for me, it made perfect sense. He even did this is very strange and very nuanced that people might not understand. But one of his first acts was to call a couple of the media members that were, big in Sacramento and take us out to lunch and just sit down and get to know us and have a legitimate conversation one-on-one with the media director there. That's it. We sat down, we had lunch, we talked basketball, we talked life, we talked about things that have gone well and things that have gone wrong. And he was here to be a problem solver. And so for me, this is possibly one of the better things that could happen for the Kings, because this is a guy that can encapsulate sort of everything that Monte and West brought individually into one guy. And I assume that they're going to bring in other people. I don't know if Vlade Divac will have a bigger say and all that stuff, but he worked really well with Vlade. He worked really, really well with Vivek. And I got to be honest, if Scott Perry would have been here if he did not get that Knicks job, I do think things would have worked out way differently. And when he left, their response was to hire Brandon Williams, which just like Brandon Williams last night, just like Brandon Williams, the player last night, Brandon Williams, the executive, destroyed the Sacramento Kings single-handedly. And so it's just like a pivotal moment where not only did you miss out on a really high-level executive, but you also ended up stumbling into someone who was nefarious and had all kinds of he was here to claim power. And it ended up being a very, very bad and ugly situation that ended with his dismissal. It ended with the dismissal of Dave Yeager and sort of this franchise spiraling in a really dark place.
James, I know you got to get down to do some interviews, but I want to make sure the question everybody's asking, will Scott Perry be able to work with Jeremy Lamb?
Jeremy Lamb hasn't been here for a while. And I know Jeremy Lamb is not part of the picture anymore. And even when he was part of the picture, he was part of the picture in a very, very small way. Yeah, so he was never in any meetings that I know of or anything else. It's a fun punchline for Sacramento Kings.
I'm going to keep making jokes about it. James, appreciate you dropping in, and we'll break this down more with you tomorrow at 10 a.m. right here on the Insiders.
Later.
Thanks, James. There he goes. James Ham.